Please adjust your tracking at this time. Thank you.
There's a blue sky way out yonder, that's a roof over my head. There's a blue sky way out yonder, that's a blanket for my bed. And wherever I wander, or wherever I may roam, there's a blue sky way out yonder, and it's calling me home. I'm tired of roaming around, mighty tired and mighty blue, and somehow I never have found any place like the home I once knew. There's a blue sky way out yonder, that's a roof over my head. There's a blue sky way out yonder, that's a blanket for my bed. And wherever I wander, or wherever I may roam, there's a blue sky way out yonder, and it's calling me home. And wherever I wander, or wherever I may roam, there's a blue sky way out yonder.
I forgot the words of that. Hear my song as a rider, I'm a happy roving cowboy, herding the dark clouds out of the sky, keeping the heavens blue.
That's good. That's good.
There you go.
All right, Grandpa.
Song that we introduce the show with a lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
So, Grandpa, basically, I just wanted to sit you down, and music's important to us, and we're in a unique scenario where you're the first person in our family to play music, and we know that for sure. Like, your dad didn't play any music or nothing.
None of my cousins or anybody else I know of.
Yeah. So you're the musical origin of our family. And so, you guys, you've had a career and a lot of stories to tell, and so I want to sit you down and we're just going to go through them. So, yeah, let's just start when you were a kid. When's the first time you played guitar, and who taught you?
I'm 85 now. And
yes, yeah.
So, about the time the war was over in 45, I was big enough to enjoy music.
Yeah.
And Dad had gotten the radio, and Grand Ole Opry with WSM was on, and Renfro Valley Barn Dance. Several of them were on Saturday nights, and I would get an old rocking chair we had, and he had a place built in the wall for the radio sets,
Yeah.
And so I pulled my rocking chair up beside that where I could hear it good, and I'd listen to them shows. So of course I liked that sound, but
yeah.
I had I went to a fair. I made some money when I was little because I plowed gardens and things with a tractor.
Yeah.
And so I had a little bit of money when I went to fair, and I wanted one of these model tractors, a steel, like a real die-cast copy. And so I bought one, and Dad brought some kind of axles home from work, some bearings and stuff, and he'd made a little wagon for it. And so I played with that a lot. And but about that same time, I don't remember not going to church, but we were going to First Baptist Church, and there was a couple of twin brothers that went there. They were adults, and they one Sunday night they brought their guitars in. They had Gibsons, just looked just about like that, only the smaller version. And they, at that time, nobody played string instruments in church, And the idea was, well, you could take that in the bar room and play it, and bring it to church the next day. So it would be guitar's fault, you know. Anyway, they had got liberal enough to let them play their guitar on Sunday night, so they brought them in and played songs. I think one of the songs they sang was "Tramp on the Street."
Yeah.
And it was a Christian gospel about Lazarus. Anyway, I was just beside myself to be that close to somebody playing a real guitar. And so I guess I was just like a duck on a June bug after them guys to teach me how to play it. But I had no guitar.
Because they weren't common. Like now, it's like everybody's got a guitar in their corner.
Yeah.
They weren't as common back then.
No, not in my circle. Anyway.
Yeah.
But there was some neighbors moved in across the street from us, and there was 8 of them, I think. But one of them was my age. He had an old Sears and Roebuck guitar.
Yeah.
And boy,
Quillen?
Quillens was her name, and they were the cussingest people. I never heard nobody cuss before until they moved in.
Sure.
You know, the summertime, the windows was open, you could hear them, all the little ones and all, just cussing one another. And I told somebody, I said, I'd never known how to cuss if it hadn't been for the Quillens moved in. But he had that guitar, and I wanted it bad, but I didn't have at that point any money to get it, and he didn't want to let it go.
Yeah.
And so I finally took my tractor and my trailer over there and was able to make a trade for that guitar.
The model.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that little model tractor. And I traded that for that guitar, and I brought it home, and it was, you know, Sears and Roebuck guitars weren't good guitars, and it kind of bowed the neck and bowed up, so the strings high like
An inch
that.
off the.
But I didn't know the difference in how high strings was supposed to be. So, and I had got Winford Powell, one of these twins that play guitar,
Yeah.
to show me a G, a C, and a D. No, a G, C, and a F, and I could almost think.
You just asked him, show me how to play this song.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know.
I didn't say song. I just wanted to play some chords. You know, I just wanted to play something.
Yeah.
And so they did show me, and I don't know if I wrote it down, but anyway, I remembered it. Probably could remember.
Sure.
So I got that guitar, and I practiced on it until my fingers got so raw I couldn't practice anymore. But I got some tape then that was medical tape that was like a fabric tape, and I taped it to the end of my fingers and went on practicing. And finally I realized that you could lower the strings, you know, to make it play easier.
Yeah.
I think probably the Powell brothers.
Did it have a rod?
It had no rod, you know.
So how'd you lower them?
I just lowered the strings on the bridge and cut the nut down, you know.
Oh, you scrun. Okay.
But it never did, it wouldn't play good. I mean, it's a lot better than when I got it. So, Winford was one of the twins who took the interest in me. And he had been in World War II, and he fought all the way through Italy, France, Germany. Was one of the first troops that went in and got the furnaces, the concentration camps. He was one of the first one in, overrun those, and it's a terrible story to tell about that. But he was, when he got out, he was given the Silver Star, which is the next to the Congressional Medal of Honor. It's a really high award. And so he was like a hero, a real live John Wayne, you know, to me. And he played the guitar, and he'd been in the horse cavalry.
Yeah, one of the last horse cavalry.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
He said he was they was going to draft him and his brother when the war started. It got bad, you know, and said then since they was on a farm, they wouldn't take both of them because one to help run the farm. He wanted to go fight, so Winford was chosen to go fight, and he said they was deciding where to put him, you know, and they said, well, you're on a farm, you probably know about horses, we'll just put you in the cavalry. And that's how he got in the cavalry. And it was the 7th Cavalry, the one Custer that got wiped out, you know.
Yeah.
It was the same division, you know. But anyway, so that, he was just a very influential person on me my whole life, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he just, And so then his brother had an old guitar that back then they made a guitar. It was a silver tone and had an amplifier and a speaker built in it. So it's an electric guitar with a speaker.
It had
Yeah. But
Was the speaker out the bottom, out the sound hole? Was it in
I
the...
don't know how it worked because by the time I saw it, he'd cut all that out.
Oh yeah.
And it had a square hole in it. He cut a square hole in
So
it.
he
for a
could
sound
pull
hole.
it out.
Yeah. And but it played pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I would borrow that guitar, and I would learn on it. You know, I was getting better,
Yeah.
but I was a 3-chord guy. You know. But I remember thinking if I could ever get to where I could make that run from G to C and C to F, to da 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 da, you know,
Yep.
I would be home. You know. And I finally learned to do that. Boy, I was so happy. But I never really learned a lot about a guitar to play very good at all. If it wasn't a 3-chord song, or
Sure.
maybe a minor 6 or something, a real simple song, I could play it. Anyway, but I did know when to change chords. That was kind of...
Yeah. Did he teach you to sing too, or did you?
No, I sung
Yeah.
all the time anyway, you know.
Okay.
But so he got older, and by the time my sister got married, she married a guy, Jim Campbell, and he was about my class of guitar picker.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got together, we played a lot together, and we kind of learned.
How old are you at this time?
I was getting up, you know, probably 18 by
Yeah.
this time. And so we'd get together and play, and Steve Lakes, he could play a little better than we could, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But he could show us some stuff. I remember they'd come over and get in our basement, and we'd sit there and play, and I'd sing Little Joe the Wrangler. And I sang Little Joe the Wrangler a lot because it was a fun song. And,
Yeah.
And they got to where they was calling me Little Joe the Wrangler. So there comes Little Joe the Wrangler. But yeah, I remember we built a cabin in Virginia down there, and we'd go down on the weekends to work on it, and we'd take guitars, me and Jim, and
The same guitar, square hole.
no, by this
Silver
time
tone?
I had a K. I bought a K, and it was a pretty nice guitar.
Yeah.
You know.
What happened to those other 2 guitars? You think?
The one, I had it for a long time and hung on the back porch.
The Sears?
Yeah, on the back porch of the, down there where Cindy lived, in
Yeah.
that little house.
The trailer.
And it got damp and came apart. You know, 'cause all the glue let loose, and
Yeah.
finally just threw it away. So that was what happened to that one.
Porch guitar.
And I gave the square hole one back to Wolver, and then this K burned up in a truck that burned up down there in Virginia that time.
Yeah.
And that truck, the woods got on fire and burnt the truck. Anyway, that's what happened to that one. But we would go, I remember we'd go down there and we'd do a Grand Ole Opry show. And one of us would be the MC and one of us would be the entertainer. And it was like, you know, okay, now we're gonna have a song from Hank Snow, so
Sure.
you know, I do my Hank Snow impression, and we learned the commercials. Martha White self-rising fire. We do the commercials. We had a blast. You know, to pass the time. Yeah, 8-hour, 10-hour drive. You know.
Yeah.
Driving at night because we drive on Friday night. Get down there to work.
Sure.
Anyway.
Because you said you're trying to build a cabin,
Yeah.
somewhere to stay and
Yeah.
hunting.
On weekends.
Yeah.
We finally got that. Anyway. So, and of course, I'd got married, and that didn't do in church. Didn't play much guitar or anything. Do you want to tell about that part?
Yeah. We tell
Okay.
everything.
Well, and this time, I was not in church and didn't have my family in church, and we was camping every weekend with another brother-in-law, Verl, and
Yeah.
my sister Lily, and and I had a Trail 50 Honda, and
Yeah.
so I got taking that camping, and I seen all these bridle trails they had to ride on at the National State Forest, and you was allowed to, with no signs or nothing. So
Sure.
I got to ride that, and then everybody else, Earl and his brothers, they all got them a moped or something, you know, to ride. We did that. They just graduated from there up to good-sized motorcycles,
Yeah.
you know. And it was happened to be something that I was good at. I was small enough and stout enough, much older and stuff that it was just easy for me to,
Yeah.
you know,
You took to it.
I could do stuff that, you know, guys who weren't real coordinated couldn't do.
Yeah.
And so it's fun when you're good at something to do it, you know. And I got cocky, man. I was, you know, I'd try anything. And so we weren't, like I say, we weren't in church.
Because it was just every weekend.
Yeah,
It was,
just almost every weekend.
Yeah.
Some weekends. So I remember on Easter Sunday weekend one year, we went to a high power.
and it's a pretty big group at this point. You said,
Oh yeah, it was up to probably 20 different
just
families.
everybody coming racing and
Yeah, and some of them had, you know, like 350s, 360 motorcycles. I had
Yeah.
a Trail 90, but by this time I had bought a Trail 100, was special made for enduros and that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff. And I hadn't had it very long, maybe a month or something. And so we were out riding all around and enduro racing, like, you know. And that was a Saturday, and we all come out of the woods and into a field that was either clover or alfalfa, and it had a road through it, like truck tracks, or
yeah.
not a road. It's just in this where in the foliage, it's, you know, you
Sure.
can tell where it went. And I assumed there's probably ruts there, so I wouldn't want to run in there, and because I'd throw you quicker than anything, get your wheel down the rut, because you can't. And there was this guy in front of me, and he was buzzing along pretty good, and we was probably doing 40 miles an hour through there. And I thought, well, you know, he's 20, 30 yards ahead of me, and so I'll just stay right in his track, and if he hits something, you know, I'll run out of it.
Yeah.
And he goes through this one place. It was kind of a dip like that, and when I got into that dip, my front wheel got in a rut, and it threw me off, and I hit the ground with my arm up like this.
Yeah.
And of course, by the heel going up like that, I didn't scoot, slide, or nothing. I just stopped right there.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, my ribs was punched through my lungs, and it hurt bad.
Yeah.
But I remember on the time that it took for me to realize I was going to fall off till I hit the ground, I seen kind of like my life, and I saw somebody else raising my kids.
Yeah.
And
Because you had all three at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clint wasn't very big, and he was walking. But anyway, of course, then I start. I'm laying there on the ground, and I'm, you know, talking to the Lord about this.
And is that a moment? Is that like you saw it in like a second, or is it just like while you're there, you're just thinking?
No,
about
this
it?
was on the way down. This
Yeah.
is before I ever hit the ground.
Okay.
As soon as I knew that I was going to fall off.
Yeah.
No, that's less than a second,
Wow.
probably. But
Yeah.
wham, you know. And I saw somebody with my family, and they're like doing what they're supposed to do. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it got that impression. And so I'm thinking, Lord, you know, if you get me out of this, I'm going to get my family in church and I quit all this foolishness.
Yeah.
And but I'm laying there and I can't breathe. I get this little bit of breath, and boy, it just hurts so. And so they, somebody went, they got a car, Chrysler car, Vern Salyers had a Chrysler, which had to ride the best. So they knew how to get out to that field somehow, and they come out and picked me up, put me down, took me to the hospital. And they checked me all around and said there's nothing punched through my lungs and all that stuff, you know. And but ruptured my spleen and had torn the tendon between my ribs
Yeah.
loose. So when I breathed, it was that raw,
Sure.
and that was what was hurting so bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got back home and I did what I said to this day. And so if it hadn't been for that, I don't know what happened or my family,
Yeah.
you know. But God was, you know, sometimes you got to spank you pretty hard to get your
Sure.
attention. I'm not too hard. If you get my attention, I'm kind of okay. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started working in church then, in a little
Okay,
while. And I started,
And what church is this?
that was First Baptist
Baptist
Church.
Yeah.
Franklin, same one where the guys played the guitar in.
Yeah.
And so, for some reason, I had a knack with kids. I didn't intimidate them. I mean, they just was felt pretty
Yeah.
free, I guess, around me. And of course, I had kids too.
Yeah.
And so I was teaching class in Sunday school, junior highs, and then I was one time was superintendent of the junior high. And so that led into music because Cindy had gotten up to about, I think she may have been 13 years old.
Yeah. Cindy's your oldest daughter.
Yeah.
Jason,
Cindy.
my dad, is middle, and then Clint's the
Clint.
younger.
And so I was singing, and I had a little tape recorder, and I would sing most of the old Baxter Black hymnal songs like
Yeah.
Just a Closer Walk with Thee and
Yeah.
What a Friend We Have in Jesus and this kind of song. But WFCJ, that radio station that was built from those two guys, built a Christian radio station out of that church called WFCJ. It's on still today.
Yeah.
And so on Saturday night, they was having a Saturday night gospel sing.
Yeah.
And they was playing my kind of music on that. That was only a time Saturday night. And there was a group called the Gethsemane Quartet, I forget. They had done a song called Jesus Pilots My Ship. And I learned that song. I liked it. And of course, Cindy, she's hanging around all the time. She hears all this music. So she just walked up and started singing harmony on that Jesus Pilots My Ship song, And I
Yeah.
man, what is that? I heard nothing sound that good. I didn't know what harmony was, and I had no idea anything about harmony. And so, that really opened my eyes to what music you could do with music.
Yeah.
And so she had a friend, Teresa Lovin, and so we kind of made up a trio and sang. And we sung at some churches,
Yeah. And you're playing that K during this?
I'm playing that K.
Yeah.
And so, no, by that time I was playing that one your dad's got of mine.
Oh, the Takamine?
Eris or something.
No, he's got the Takamine.
Oh, well, it wasn't that. It's Eris, but it may be going. I don't know.
Oh.
I thought Clint might have had it.
Where'd that guitar? I don't know that guitar. Where'd that?
It was a real pretty guitar. Had a lot of ebony in it and stuff. It's plywood top, so it wasn't ever going to sound any better. But it sounded good. I
Yeah.
liked it. But so we did that a little bit, and then Lori Bolick somehow and Jeff Smith got involved in it. I think he liked Lori and Cindy,
Yeah.
and he was playing piano for Steve Lake's Swing Masters, and he's only, so they're 13 years old or something.
Sure.
He's a genius. I mean, he's really good, and was then.
Yeah.
And so he just whipped that trio into something pretty good, because he sung harmony and Lori sung harmony, Cindy sung it, and I sung bass on
Yeah.
the trio, and we did like Imperial songs, some of them, Old Buddha, and
Yep.
anyway, and so it come to a point where we was wanting to record, and we was going to enter these contests they would have, and the prize was a recording contract, or not a contract, but a session to make an album.
Yeah.
And so we was getting pretty close to that, and Lori, she decided that wasn't what she wanted to do, or I think her dad decided for her.
Sure.
And so she dropped out, and so then Jason stepped in singing the tenor,
And how old's he at this point?
He's 12.
Okay.
He's 12.
So Cindy, she's like 3, she's 15
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah. And so that really made a good group, and that was called Horizons. And
And Dad just knew how to sing? Did you teach him? How did that happen?
no, he just was a natural, and Clint was a natural. Clint was playing bass. He wasn't.
He was playing bass.
He was that much younger than.
He must have been 9.
Yeah, but then.
He couldn't even reach the.
Yeah, well, he was. We had a little short bass. I actually bought it for Jason to play bass, and
Yeah.
he didn't take much interest in it. And when I picked it up, he could just play it.
It's a short, like, kid bass?
Yeah, it was, about that long.
Oh.
It's.
Where'd that go? You know?
I have no idea.
That's it. I never heard of that.
But anyway, so that was a pretty good group. But then Terry, Jeff's best friend was Terry Goins. So
Yeah.
he wanted to. He got to come into practice with us, and him and Cindy hooked up.
Yeah.
And then he started playing bass, and
That little short one, or?
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
We started playing that, but it just involved him. We played a lot of churches, and we had real nice. The girls had long dresses, and
Yeah.
guys wore suits. It's pretty cute, and so we did that until Jeff and Cindy and Terry.
And did you name it? Is it named Horizons at this
Yeah,
point?
I was looking for a name for a quartet.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
right at the beginning, or is this when
Yeah.
the competition's coming on?
No, this was when we was
Starting.
getting where we
Sure.
getting people wanting us to come sing, to church. And so I saw there's a commercial for a Chrysler car, I think it was. And it was called a Horizon.
Yeah.
And I thought, that sounds nice for a quartet, Horizon
Yeah.
quartet. But there was another Horizon quartet. I found out later, after that was a big time quartet, but I didn't know nothing about
Yeah.
it. So we never. Of course, we wasn't cutting in on income.
Sure.
So we called it the Horizons, and so that, and Laura had quit, and then Jason took the tenor, and then when Cindy and got out of school, and Jeff went to college, Terry went to college, and so that kind of broke up the group. Well, they wanted to quit anyway.
Yeah.
They was done with that. And
The competition, how did that go?
we never won nothing, but
Yeah.
we probably, it was fun, and I like competition because it keeps you humble.
Yeah, sure.
It keeps you, it keeps you in line there. You ain't as good as you think you are.
The ladies at church are a better audience, are better
Yeah.
critics than the
Yeah.
judges at a competition.
But so that was the end of that group,
Yeah.
But just, there was this little kid, I don't know, he might have been 10 or 12, and he could play piano pretty good. Aaron Casson was his name. And he followed the Horizons around and just, he wanted to be, that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So when he kept bugging me after the first group quit, and he wanted to play and be in the group, and so he goes and somehow gets up with Clint Stringer, and Clint Stringer gets up with Jennifer Boggs, and so they ended up the second group. Well, could have been the third group because after Lori quit,
Sure.
But
And these are just people from church.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was I was out of school a lot, and I knew the music teacher real well, and she knew my kids and
Yeah.
stuff, and so she would tell me who was talented, that might work. Anyway, and so that group went on till the same thing happened. They got old enough to go to college and stuff, so that was the end of that group, and so I just figured I'll just start another one with some more kids when they come along. Well,
Sure.
I didn't have nobody but Jason then, and Clint, and of course Clint didn't sing.
Yeah.
As far as we knew, never heard him sing, and so there was this guy Deacon Wells, and he had been in Western music this probably his whole life, and he was in his 70s, and he had a group called the Cimarron Trio, and he had heard that I knew those Western songs, 'cause I learned them from Winford,
Yeah.
and my sister, she had a album called Cowboy Classics of the Sons of the Pioneers, and
Yeah.
I'd got that, and I just wore it out, and that was prettiest sound I ever heard, you know, when I
Yeah.
heard the Pioneer singing. And so he somehow was a friend with a friend of Mom's, of Ida's, and she told him that I knew them songs. So he calls me and wants me to go sing at Renfro Valley in his trio, sing the lead singer. And
What's that? What you said? What valley? What is that?
Renfro Valley Barn Dance.
Is that just a venue somewhere?
Yeah, it was syndicated all over the country for years. It's
Yeah.
like a Kentucky's Grand Ole Opry.
Huh.
It's still there today. It's a big deal
Yeah.
today. And but I didn't want to go, and I told him I said, yeah, I'm not interested. I'll try to get another.
Why weren't
gospel
you
group.
interested?
I wanted to get another gospel group together.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know the Lord shut the door on that yet.
Yeah.
You know? And so I looked around, and by the next year, I hadn't got anybody together
Yeah.
to do anything else. So he calls me again, and wanted to know if I'd be interested in doing that. And I said, well, I'd kind of like to say I sung at Renfro Valley once. So I'll go
Yeah.
down there. So we decided we're going to be, well, his tenor comes from Indiana. I've never met him before. And Deacon, and he and I practiced a little bit. And
Yeah.
had to do 4 songs 2 times. It was 600 people in the audience. And then there's 2 barns at Renfro Valley. And then they would switch people, and then you do the same show
Yeah.
for this other crowd, you know. So we did, I think, Happy Cowboy, Cool Water, Tumbleweed, and something else, I don't know. But anyway, so like I say, I never met the tenor. Well, I'm a baritone, so most of the lead singers are not baritones.
Yeah.
Whatever, not tenors, but what's that in the middle is.
Yeah.
And so I sing those songs a key lower than what everybody else does, just so I could hit everything. And so we get out there on stage, and I've never been on stage with that many people or nothing, and then they turn the lights out and the lights on, and I can't see nobody, you know, in there. And so we're gonna start this song, and I'm playing in my key, you know, and this other guy's kicking it off on another key. And I knew I couldn't sing it where he was at, so I just kept overriding him, and I started the song, and it didn't take him long, he caught on. He's a pretty good musician.
Sure.
And he's a good singer too. And but
You just strong-armed him into your key.
Yeah. we sang his song, and you know, we just must more got it started, and I hear this big racket, you know, I don't know what that is, you know, barn falling down, but they were applauding, you know, and I
Yeah.
never heard that much applause, you know, in a place like that where it echoed.
Yeah,
probably.
sure.
So it startled me for a little bit until I figured out what it was, and man, we couldn't do nothing but what they applauded, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
sneeze or anything.
Sure.
But anyway, and it was some of the worst, I thought, some of the worst Pioneer singing I ever heard, you know, and but they were just tearing the house down every time we'd finish a song.
Sure, yeah.
Or do a turnaround in or something. So we did that. The second show was a little better because we practiced on the first. At least we started in the right same
Yeah.
keys, you know. And anyway, it went on, and came home after that, and so I got to thinking, you know, there's 1,200 people that we played for there, and they just loved it. I said, if we had an album to sell, if we sold 10% of that
Yeah.
in a show, plus what you got paid for doing the show, it'd be some pretty good weekend income, you know, it'd
Yeah.
be fun too.
Because
And-
you thought this is about the worst these songs been sung, and
Yeah.
they're just eating
Oh
it
yeah,
up.
so I got home and I said, you know, it's not the singers, it's these songs.
Yeah.
These songs are marketable, so I got to thinking we need to have something to sell, you know.
Mm.
And so I got up with Deacon, we talked about making an album, and he didn't have no money, he was on Social Security,
Mm-hmm.
living in one of them places. And so he's all for it, and I worked down at the Bill's shop where they did graphics. You could do graphics,
Yeah.
like cassette covers like that,
Yeah.
And so I decided that Cimarron Trio was not a good name for cowboy trio today because nobody knows what the Cimarron is, a river in Texas.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that anymore. So
Because this is, for context, this cowboy music's not popular anymore.
No.
This is like, it's like people miss it and they want it back. And
It was doing its turnaround, its 50-year turnaround.
Sure.
What it was doing.
Yeah.
And we was in on the kind of the beginning of that.
So you have a niche there, like,
Yeah, right.
And so that's,
And so he didn't have any money, and so it was going to cost $5,000 to go to the studio
yeah,
and make an album and get enough stuff to sell, So I'm thinking, I could build a building and buy the equipment for $5,000, and if it don't work, I got the equipment in the building.
yeah,
So I went down and I took out a loan for $5,000, and we built that studio.
yeah, the one
And
behind Clint's.
Bought that TAC recording, 8-track recording equipment, and we started making our own tape.
But you said you didn't like the name. He wasn't a.
Oh, okay. He didn't. I didn't like his name.
This was before, because you're like, if we're gonna do this, if I'm gonna spend this money, it's gonna be
Right, and it needs to be something that separates us from country. I want something that, and I didn't think Cimarron Trio would do it, but I said, singing cowboys has been coined from the B Westerns till today.
Yeah,
Roy Rogers is the singing king of the singing cowboys, and
Yeah.
so I said, let's just call it the singing cowboys. So
straight to the point. Yeah.
yeah, and be no question about what it is when somebody hears it.
Yes.
And so I made up a jacket, something like that, and said the singing cowboys on it. And I showed it to. He was up at the house. We was going to rehearse, but this time Jason was the tenor, and I was the lead, and he was the baritone. He was a good baritone. He knew all that
Yeah.
Nolan harmonies, and it sounded good together. And I was so happy because I couldn't believe that we was making that Pioneer sounds,
Yeah.
And so he was sitting there on the couch, and I got that out. I said, "Here's what I was thinking we could call the group," and he got mad. Boy, he got mad, and he packed up his guitar and left.
Yeah.
Never said bye or nothing.
Because he felt like that. I mean, it was his group, right?
Yeah, and he didn't want to change the name.
Yeah.
But he was putting nothing in it.
Yeah.
But so
It became a new project.
here I got this recording equipment. I got the studio.
Yeah.
Money invested, and I got no baritone
Yeah.
or no contract. He had kind of a contract with Renfro Valley to play there every Saturday night.
Yeah.
For anyway. So I was trying to find somebody to sing baritone, and Clint Stringer could sing baritone, but he wasn't interested. He come up, and it was a pretty good sound with him in it. And so I went out to school and I talked to Mrs. Stanzi, and I said,
She was the music teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to keep kids in it if I could, it'd be easier than having adults.
Sure.
They got a family and all that.
Yeah.
So she said, "Well, the only one I know that could do that's your son Clint." I said, "Who?" I didn't say that. That's what I thought. She said, "Well, yeah." I said, I can play anything I want on it, and he can sing it back to me. So he got a really good ear. And so when I told Jason, Clint got home, Clint, come on, you're our new baritone. And we went out in the studio. It was the best sound you ever heard.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat, just the blend was perfect. The sibilance and everything was the same. So that was the start of the Singing Cowboys.
Sure. And how old is Jason and Clint at this point?
Clint's probably 15. Jason's what?
He'd be 18. Yeah.
maybe.
Did it take you, that recording equipment, did it take you Was there a learning curve operating all that and making it sound good?
Well, yeah, and of course we was talking to people who, Stacy, I can't think of his name now. He had that equipment and did that kind of stuff, and then another guy, Delbert Barker, that we knew who had recording equipment. So we talked to all them, but Jason had the knack for it or wanted to do it. So he did all the engineering, and he could hear real good too, parts, and so it was, our first album was not really that good, you know.
Sure.
The second one, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
What we did.
And so you got the album. How'd you get your first show? Like, did you? How are you looking for that?
We started, well, one thing, we didn't try to get a show first. We practiced for, I don't know, maybe a year.
Yeah.
And trying and putting a show together and making sure we didn't sound amateur or look amateur. Because when we went out, I wanted to look professional. I didn't want to look like a weekend group that just playing for the fun of it. Because I was thinking we could make a living at it. And one thing I knew, Clint was going to play music.
Yeah.
And maybe Jason too. And I knew it was not going to be good, the kind of music that he would get into. And so I saw pioneer music as a kind of a neutral music. It's not really promoting anything bad. You
mean because he's listening to rock and roll, and you didn't like, you didn't think that was good for him.
And I knew if something didn't happen, that's where he was going to end up.
Okay.
And because he wanted to play, and he could play. And
he's playing guitar at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not real good, but he's really good bass.
Yeah.
But so I decided the best way that I can keep these kids is to do this.
Yeah.
And I'll make them all of us equal owners in the group. So that it's not all about me. So it's up to them, you know, and they're going to get a third of it.
They get invested.
Yeah. And so it worked, you know, to get out of me, and or that kind of what I think he would ended up in.
Yeah.
Because it took up those years when he was most vulnerable for that.
Okay.
So. And so that was another reason for the Singing Cowboys. And but we practiced, like I said, I didn't want to look like amateurs, and then we started going to talent contests, and we was winning every one we went to.
Yeah.
And got big trophies, and sometimes we get money. And
is Dad playing bass at this point? Is he just singing?
He's just singing.
And you're playing guitar, and Clint's on the bass.
Yeah.
Got
it. No, Clint's playing the guitar.
He's playing guitar. You just two guitars.
Because he got to where he could play lead. See.
Yeah.
So that was more valuable to us than a bass.
Yeah.
With him to play the lead. And so we played this contest and won it down in Paint Creek, Ohio. The Jamboree down there.
Yeah.
And there was somebody there who had something to do with Ohio Arts Council. He was a committee member or something, and he heard it, and he said, you know, there's grant money available for people who do your preserve of music from the past, you know, in the Arts Council.
Historical aspect.
Yeah, and so he said, there's some grant money available if you want to apply for it. And he told us how and helped us do it. And we applied for it, got $2,000 grant, which is pretty good lick back then. And
is that just money in your pocket? Is that it has to go to a certain thing?
No, it was
any
just
stipulations?
Cash paid to me.
Man.
And I was ordained. I was honored as being a master artist in cowboy music.
Sure.
That was my title, and it's on record in the Ohio Arts Council today.
Yeah.
And I've got a certificate somewhere that says that. But anyway.
What's that application look like? Is it just an interview? Is it sending in the album?
It was a paper that you filled out.
Yeah.
And of course, this guy's fronting me all the time.
Yeah.
But so we wanted a string bass, and so we took $800 or $600 of that money and bought that bass off of some guy.
Yeah.
and got it from the school. And it's an okay. It's a good old
Yeah,
bass.
Dad still got that bass.
Yeah. And so then Jason, he just started playing it. I don't know. He could play guitar, so he knew notes and stuff.
Sure.
He knew the neck. But he just started playing. He played it right on key, right on pitch, And nothing fancy, but it was there, And so that rounded us out as a bass, a lead, and a rhythm guitar. And then I played that chopped rhythm all the time. So it gave us 7 voices out of the band.
Yeah.
Your lead, your tenor, your baritone, your bass, your lead guitar, your rhythm guitar, and that drum slap, that chop. So it was a pretty big, full sound,
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this. We played some shows around, but nothing big, And then somehow Roy Rogers was going to have a homecoming, a family reunion down in Portsmouth, where he grew up.
Yeah.
And it was going to be held at in this big auditorium at the Shawnee.
This is early. This is early on.
This is early on. We just getting started.
Yeah.
And somebody told him that we did that kind of because they was looking for somebody to entertain.
This is his birthday party.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's a family reunion.
Tell people who Roy Rogers, like how big of a deal, like.
Roy Rogers was the #1 singing cowboy for about 10 years. Bigger than Elvis Presley. I mean, he was that big. And so then he was up in years when this happens because he was in the 40s, late 30s and early 40s when he got started.
Yeah.
And they made all the Republic pictures with Trigger and Bullet and
movies and TV. Yeah.
But and he was quite a guy. And so, but they wanted that kind of music played at the reunion, and so we happened to be close. And somebody said, we could do it. So they wanted to, and we sent them a demo, and they hired us, for that. And so we played for Roy Rogers at his family reunion.
Yeah.
And of course, after we did that.
And it went well.
It went well, and there was a song, I was trying to think of a song that Roy would really like, and I'd heard that his mother always wanted him to sing that Pioneer Mother of Mine. It was a song.
Yeah.
Title. And so we got it, and Jason learned it, and so we sang that, and Roy's sitting right down in front of us. We're right there.
And his mother's passed at this point.
Yeah. She was passed.
Yeah.
His sister was there, so we sung that Pioneer Mother of Mine, or Jason did, and big alligator tears that run down Roy's face, like that. And I thought, maybe we shouldn't have done this, but it went over well.
You were worried you brought the mood down.
Yeah, but so that went well, and then once we got that on our resume. They didn't say, wonder if they can do it,
Yeah.
if we could do it there. And we also played another big show down there that Roy was at, and also the Sons of the Pioneers. One of them, Dale Warren, had 40 years as the Sons of the Pioneers, and they were celebrating that down there.
Yeah.
And we entertained the Sons of the Pioneers down there for that show. But, just things like that happen. And
so are you, at this point, it's still part-time, or is Homestead, is the Homestead construction's going on at this point? And so, and that's why you can go do those trips.
Yeah, we had the freedom to go and come.
Yeah.
And, that was, but it kind of just caught on after we sung for Roy's thing.
Yeah.
And we started getting calls and fairs, and we played the Ohio State Fair. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then we went to Arizona to the Western Music Festival or Western Music Convention, like something.
Yeah.
They had organized Western music, and it was separated, you know, out and it's have its own uh, Hall of Fame, stuff like that, you know.
Mm.
And so we went to that and met a lot of people that were in, and that's where we met Riders in the Sky.
Yeah.
They were out there. They actually came to see our show. I guess some people told them, you know, it's a pretty good group. You want to go see them. So they come see it and sat there and watched our show. And, you know, and I'll never forget this, because this changed the Singing Cowboys, this incident right here. Because we was doing the show, and I thought cowboy history is important, so I was given something that happened in history about the American cowboy, and then we would sing a song that kind of had to do with that, you know. And so that's how our show was going. And so when it was over, we was walking out of this room or the place where we played, and Too Slim, the guy who plays bass for the Riders in the Sky, he walked up beside him, put his arm around me like that, and he said, "You probably got as good a trio as there is out here, but what you need to do is learn to entertain."
Yeah.
He said, "This is entertainment. It's not singing business. It's entertainment." And I thought, well, is that kind of where we'd like to be, you know?
Yeah.
So we turned into comedians right quick. Which wasn't too hard, you know.
Sure.
But we wrote our own jokes and stuff, and that was some of the best times I ever had, was out in the studio making up a show. That was more fun.
So are you recording, the jokes are going on the album too?
No,
Or-
they didn't, none of the albums, but a lot of the tapes that we got where they recorded our show, like
yeah.
Branson or somewhere, they would be on that. But
But you're rehearsing this joke between this song
yeah,
and
and we'd have a sheet laying on the floor that big so I could see it. With what song and what joke come next and all that, you know.
And just cutting up and making each other laugh.
And Clint was funny. He would come up with stuff off his head that was hilarious, you know.
Yeah.
He said one time, I was trying to read that cheat sheet, you know, down there, what was next. And Clint said, he's having trouble with that bifocal line. He can't see it. And but we had some of the best jokes, and people just and we were sitting out in the studio one time on those stools, sitting there, and Clint, he starts singing, "Doodle lady tee-o, I did a doo-doo."
Yeah.
And boy, we captured on that. That was so funny. So we got Jason, you know,
Because he could yodel.
well, yeah, and we said every cowboy band has one person that yodels better than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And we picked Jason to be our company yodeler. And I said, he's been yodeling ever since he's little. So I remember the night we brought him home from the hospital, he yodeled all that night.
Yeah.
And I said, "Jason, you could do a little yodel for us?" I said, he didn't talk for a long time, but he had a little yodel he'd do when he needed some attention, you know, like his diaper change or something, you know. I said, "Jason, you remember anything?" He, "Oh, I might come back to me, you know," and he starts doing that. I did a do. And I'm telling you, the crowd, especially the women, would just crack up.
Yeah.
That was the best joke we had, probably. And all the other groups got to doing that same joke.
Really?
We could hear our joke and it was funny, you know. So it was quite fun. You know. But we ended up, after we was in Branson, or after we was out there at the convention, Western Music Convention, and we got up, or they got up us, some of those agents, and they started booking us in Branson, shows down there. And we played a lot of shows in Branson. And that was a good place to play because people come there that's what they come to hear, you know. And we met Johnny Gimble, one of the most famous fiddle players of that day.
Yeah.
Played on everybody's records, you know, #1 records at pop and.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met him out there. He sat up and played all night with us one night. We had a bus out in the campgrounds, you know, and he come out there, and we sat there and played and sung all night long. He
Yeah.
played fiddle. There were some other guys there too, not just us, but yeah, he was quite a guy. But
I want to talk about Doug Dalton and when he came in, because that's a pretty big
Doug
piece.
Dalton was an important part of the group of getting us.
So
getting us-
who is Doug Dalton?
Doug Dalton was a guy that was in Roy Rogers' era,
Yeah.
and he was in a group called the Whippoorwills, and they were kind of a progressive country, and they sung a lot of stacked harmony
Yeah.
and sung overseas. I mean, it was a big, it was the pioneers in a way, and of course they were all friends. Doug and Roy Lanham ended up his best friend ended up playing with the Pioneers for years.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine, Kurt Townsend, he'd go around. But back then, they had musicians would gather up in the parking lots up with a donut shop or something.
Yeah, sure.
They had to sit out in the parking lot and play, and it would be good, 15 or 20 or 30 musicians gathering up and playing together, a little group here playing something.
Yeah.
And he's told me, he said, there's a guy that comes up there to the donut shop place, and he was in the Sons of the Pioneers, and he plays all that. Because we just looked on somebody can play that music like it's supposed to be played, because there's a lot of chords in it that
A lot of
most
transition, a lot
people
of
don't know and don't play it. But if you play that, it sounds that much better. So,
a lot of pivot chords and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, and so Kurt told me about him, so I said, I'll go up there, I want to meet him. And so I went up there, and I had Jason and Clint with me, I think. I know Jason was with me. Well, maybe the first time I didn't, but anyway, I met him and told him what I wanted to do. And
At what point is this before Roy Rogers' family reunion? Is this after?
it's after.
This is after. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was after.
Okay.
Yeah, but not long after. And so.
Because you're trying to take it to the next level. Like,
And I met him, and he was just such a guy that he just was overjoyed if he could help somebody
yeah.
play some music and stuff. He's just that kind of guy. He just took great pleasure in teaching.
Yeah.
Because he knew so much, and he's getting older, and so if he could, anyway, and so he agreed to come down and play on our first album. That's him playing on that
Really?
first album. And but we sat down there, and he got to where he just wanted to come down and hang out with us.
Yeah.
He liked Clint and Jason. He just wanted to teach them everything he could.
Yeah.
Clint was like a sponge. He just soaked it up, and so and we was in there. We'd sing for him, what songs we was going to record. And he leaned back and say, "Boys, first thing you need to do is get it in the key you can sing it in." And you need to make sure your instruments is in tune.
Yeah.
I guess they weren't in tune.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he gave us that advice, we never forgot it. And but he would sit and teach Clint stuff. Clint learned a lot. And then Roy Lanham, he never met Roy Lanham, but he listened to a lot of Roy Lanham's music.
Yeah.
Picked up stuff from him. But then Doug Dalton, for several years, and he got cancer. And the last time I talked to him, he knew he was going to go, and he wanted a new garage door put on his garage, and a garage opener for his wife,
Yeah, okay.
And and then he knew we did that kind of stuff, and he wanted to know if we'd come up and put that on, make sure she got a
Yeah.
garage door open. So we did. We went and done that, and we seen him one time. After that, we went up and play a little music with him, but he couldn't hardly play anything, and he couldn't sit. He's just so skinny that it hurt.
Really?
He had sat on pillows and stuff, and it still hurt, So, and maybe it wasn't a week or something. He
Yeah.
passed. We went to his funeral and met one of the Swanee River Boys, the bass singer for Swanee River Boys, was his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
He had the funniest name. It was Buford Abner. That sounded like a cartoon character.
Yeah.
And he was kind of a cartoonish guy, But we met him. I enjoyed that. But yeah, he was
Doug,
a big influence
Yeah.
on the whole group. I mean, he told us stuff that we would have been years learning. You know.
Yeah, I mean, just Clint's playing. I mean, that's a real pro. Like that's a world class player, and to learn that from him, and then
he's even Doug Dalton of the Riders in the Sky wanted to play with Doug, and they never did get together. But he was so jealous because he'd come up and play with us.
they got Dan and Clint's got recorded. They like recorded some of those times he came up and you can hear him teaching Clint. He's saying, "Don't slough them chords.
Yeah, don't slough over your chords."
This stuff. Yeah. But
he had a kind of a high pitched voice, and he'd lean back like that, you know. And get the pitch, you know.
And then, so, I've got a list of, I've been at, just funny memories that people want you to retell. The bus. We want to talk about the bus and how that all happened.
Well, the first thing we did was bought a motor home.
Yeah.
And it was I don't know, about a 25, 6-footer.
Yeah.
And we used that for a couple of years. And then we was doing fair conventions to get fairs to play at, and that's where everybody, all the board members of the fair goes there and they pick out what talent they want for their fair. And so he was there, and he had a rodeo. He was a stock contractor for rodeos. And he hooked up with us and liked the music. This guy did. I can't think of his name now. Anyway, I might think of it later. He was driving buses for Bus Kingdom Bus Company, tour buses. And he said, they got an old bus over there that you could probably buy for about $3,000 or something.
You're in a motor, is Clinton dad married at this point?
Yeah.
So there's 6 of you in the motorhome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if, I think he was married. He's with us anyway.
Yeah.
And, but I know Jason.
You need more room, though, is the idea.
Yeah, well, and we needed the prestige of
a tour bus.
Yeah, a tour bus was a big thing. If you had that, it was
Sure.
It was at least a good weekend group, you know. And so we went and looked at that bus, and they wanted actually $5,000 for it instead of $3,000.
Yeah.
But we bought it and brought it home and ripped it all apart and made it into 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And it had a bathroom and it had a dining area, like, no kitchen but just a table.
Sure.
So we ate a lot of bologna and peanut butter crackers,
Yeah.
But it was just there for a while. It was just like wherever it gets dark, it's home for the night.
Sure.
And
that thing run okay? How did it run?
yeah, it run good. I always had that fear it was going to lay down on us somewhere.
Sure.
Of course, it costs a fortune to get something like that fixed.
Yeah.
But it never let us down. We ran out of fuel one time, and it took a while to get, fuel out through the injectors and stuff. And but we never had any trouble with it the whole time. I was afraid we would,
Yeah.
Kind of in the back of your mind is that the air conditioning would quit working every once in a while.
And then you once you got that bus, didn't you shoot some kind of promo tape with the?
Well, a demo, yeah. We shot it using the bus.
It's like a commercial almost. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on some.
I'm gonna put it.
Yeah, but it was I think Jason narrated it.
Yeah.
But Jesse and Brandy and Cindy went with us quite a few trips.
Really?
Yeah, and we'd do this song for the kids, get all the kids up on stage and sing. Old MacDonald had a farm, you know.
Yeah. And then what's the story where the crowd booed someone else off the stage?
Yeah, that was embarrassing. But we was down in Florida at the Florida State Fair, and they had this huge building.
Yeah.
I mean, big building. It was like the size of a football field, just about, you know. And they had a stage in one end of it, and they was putting on revolving entertainment there.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of 3 shows there. And there was this other guy who was in the same building, and he was on before us or after us or so. But he would do this show where he would have blow up instruments for people to play, and he'd get them up, and they'd play this song, and people would blow his plays. And he was funny, and he was a good entertainer, but they got the schedule mixed up somehow, and it was like the Singing Cowboys was going to be on at a certain time, and this guy shows up, and he is told to be there and do his show.
Yeah.
So we're there, all in costume, ready to go, and find out that he's supposed to be doing the show. So we just sit down in the audience and watch his show. And so he's going along, and people are laughing and having fun a little bit. And he comes around, there's a point where he's going to say, is there anything, song you want to hear, anything that you want to hear? And the crowd hollers out, yeah, the Singing Cowboys. And it throwed him for a second or two.
Yeah.
He got back on top of things. He was good.
They was waiting for you.
Yeah. Poor guy.
So, all right, yeah, and then let's talk about these guitars. So these are the 2 guitars you played most of all.
Right, yeah.
Singing Cowboys. So this here,
Yeah.
that is, and I got Clint pulled up the serial number and some old facts about these. So that's a Yamaha FG150. It's a red label,
Yeah.
and then it's 1968, made in the USA. So it's after Yamaha moved production from Japan.
Yeah.
And then it says you bought it new for $150.
Yeah.
You know where from?
$1 for each model number.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought it from Steve Lake's Jewelry, or Lake's Jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really liked the guitar. Played a lot.
It's like it's a short scale, right?
Yeah.
It was a hard playing guitar. It's had some work done though, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's a pretty hard playing guitar.
Yeah, and you can see where I play that chopped rhythm, and
Yeah.
see it. That one's got a bigger thing on it. It's made different. But I had learned not to do that, or how to beat that one up like that. But I played this, I don't know.
How many years was it this one until you?
I bought this, well, in that year.
Yeah.
And then I bought that one. Clint knows when I bought that one because that's when he bought his.
Well, you didn't get this in &68, did you? Or did you get this?
I bought it brand new.
Oh, really? So sometime close to then.
Yeah.
And then, and so what brings on you need a new guitar? Like, is it just you got the money for it? Is it you want a better one?
Yeah, this one was hard to hear. It's not as loud, on stage. And but I did have a pickup in it of some sort at the time.
That had a pickup in it?
Yeah.
I guess it would have had to.
Yeah, it went right in here. I think it was clear out there. Is that Dorman or something like that? But I played it a long time, and then I don't know what year it was, but I always wanted a Gibson ever since I knew about a Gibson.
Really?
And I wanted the Sunburst like that.
Yeah.
And so they would sell you a guitar on payments down at whatever this music store. It was in the mall down here in Middletown.
Yeah, I've got that here. At Camelot Music in the town mall at
Yeah.
Middletown.
And so we went down there, and I picked this out, and Clint picked that Martin out,
Yeah.
and paid it in payments, you know. And,
Here, I'll grab that.
but this was just like a dream come true when I
Yeah.
got this guitar. People won't leave me alone. Probably wanting to sing the Cowboys.
You're getting called out of retirement. So this is a Gibson J30,
Yeah.
and the serial number, got that looked up. This is production is the 3rd of July in 1990 in Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah.
And then you bought it new in 1991 at Camelot Music in the town mall in Middletown, Ohio. It doesn't say for how much. You know how much you paid for it?
I think they get about $1,800.
Really? And this is one of the better guitars you've had, you think, right?
I like it.
Yeah. It just plays
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah. Just got a warm sound. It's not
Yeah.
hard. Martin's got a more harder driving sound.
So is it half and half the career singing Cowboys, or did you play this one the most, that one the most? Like what?
Well, I played this one till we quit, and
About how
From
much
then-
further? Is it like halfway into the
we quit
career?
in '96.
So okay, so and when'd you start? 98.
About 86.
86. So you played this one
Early
most
80s.
of the time.
Yeah,
A lot of those big.
yeah. A lot of people thought that was a Martin, but it always
Oh,
thought it was
really?
a Martin because it looks it's just a copy of a Martin.
Was it hard? Was it hard switching from short scale to
No.
standard? No, it just felt normal.
Well, I played a lot of
Yeah.
other guitars.
And then this pickup, you put that pickup in it.
Yeah, put that in it.
You got some of the singing Cowboys engraved.
Yeah, I seen. We was down in Branson, and one of the Sons of the Pioneers had a guitar, and it had Sons of the Pioneers
Yeah.
guitar, and I seen that. I said, put the Cowboys in mine, you know.
Yeah.
So I put that in. I put this on it here.
Where does this one rank in your favorite guitars? Like, is this
Well, it's my all-time favorite.
that's your best guitar you've owned? Do you
Oh,
think?
it is by far. Yeah. And it didn't work.
Their brands were still on fire and their hooves were made of steel. Their horns were black and shiny and their hot breath he could feel.
Okay. All right, so tell me how the Cowboys stopped. Like the reason it stopped, how long that took.
Yeah. We was at we went to bus and we was traveling, and the girls, Clinton Jason was married but there was no kids, you know, so and Ida, she went with us some too, and so that was easy and wasn't having to have as much money because they didn't have no families enough.
Yeah.
And so then started having babies, Justin, you know, and then Josh, and it's still okay, and we still all going, but then finally they got in school,
Mm-hmm.
and then the girls could no longer go, you know, and so that that was putting a strain on their families, and you know, if you make enough money for three families, and you know, it's a lot more money it take than it's just one family.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was part of what was coming up, so there was this new company starting up to make Western. It was called Warner Western, or Warner West. It was Warner Brothers, and they was going to be strictly a cowboy recording company.
Okay.
And they was looking for a trio, you know, for them to record on and start putting out as their music, you know. So we tried out for that, and if we would get that, see, we weren't a ticket selling act. We had to be where people was already going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, so in order to be a ticket selling act, we needed a recording out and people know about it.
Sure.
So you do that through Warner West because they did all the promotions and stuff. So we auditioned for that, and it came down to us and a group called the Sons of the San Juan Key, which was from California, was a father and a son and the father's brother. There's two brothers and a son.
Yeah.
And they were good. They were really good singers. There was no musicians in the bunch, and they weren't funny.
Yeah.
But they could sing, and they had a lot of clout. You know, they were. One of them had been a Major League Baseball player. The other one was something in music. It's like a professor, and I mean, really had some clout. And anyway, they won the contract.
Sure.
You know, and so that was because I figured if we could get the thing to a ticket selling level and get paid enough that we could fly and go do the show and get back, you know, not have to spend all the time on the road, that we'd stay in the business and try to push it on up, you know. But that was what we decided and this was the breaking point. If we get this contract, we're going to go on. If we don't, it's probably over for us. Well, I know it was going to be over for us. And so they got it, but we got some real good feedback from them, and they liked what we did, but I think there was just a little more clout and stuff on that group. And but anyway, that was the end of that. And so I told Jason, I said, Glenn, for the next year, I'm going to put out as much. See, I could send promotion equipment to all the fairs. Everybody did shows, and see if we could get to a level where we could fly and get back home, and we could stay in the business. And if we don't get it there in a year, we quit.
Yeah.
And I don't think. Well, I'm sure we never got another call after that.
Yeah.
We never got a call to come play nowhere, and so obviously it was over. It's time to quit.
Yeah.
So in about the same time, Jason was called into the ministry.
Sure.
Just a little time after that, and then I eventually, see, Clint, he had, we was doing homestead too, and he'd went in to work for
Bartek.
Yeah. And I told him one day, I could tell that he was a good carpenter and worked hard and everything, but you could tell that wasn't what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I just told him, if you want to do something else, well, you know, go ahead. The next day, or at least the next 2 days, he went to work for Bartek.
Yeah. So it was pretty unified. Like everybody knew.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And so.
And that's a pretty good hard. If this happens, we keep. If it don't, So that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's
it's obvious we couldn't do it if we couldn't make more money.
Sure.
You know, be a ticket selling act like Riders and Guys is a ticket selling act.
So how many? So tell me. So Cowboys is over. You're playing. What's music look like for you after that? Are you still playing places?
I didn't want to quit.
You didn't want to quit performing. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to quit singing the music and stuff, but I didn't care about traveling or anything.
Sure.
So I tried to organize a group, and Ken Phipps and some other guy, and
Cowboy music or gospel?
Yeah. Well, we would do both.
Sure.
Ken could do it, but the other guy, he couldn't hear parts, so it just fell apart. You know, I quit trying to that. And then I'd just go, a friend Rex Patrick had a jamboree on Saturday nights over at Germantown. So I'd go over there once in a while and sing a couple songs at the show, just
Yeah.
play around. And there was a guy there had something to do with the Kentucky Colonel thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, you know, you ought to be a Kentucky Colonel. Said, you know, it's for people who have done something, contributed to what they said I contributed to preserving of music. You know,
Yeah.
which I had to some degree.
So you have this. You're a Kentucky Colonel. This is
I'm
a.
bona fide Kentucky Colonel.
This is your the Honorable David L. Bicknell. So it's commissioned at Kentucky. It's signed. There you go. And that's the guy right there.
Yeah. And I don't know what the date is, but I don't see no date.
I don't either.
Anyway, I'm a Kentucky Colonel. That's how I got to be a Kentucky Colonel.
So that guy, he worked for the office, or he knew somebody, or
He was a Kentucky Colonel, and he was a board member or something, you know.
yeah,
Of course, they're always looking for somebody to make a
Yeah.
Kentucky Colonel out of. Expand their organization, so that's how that happened.
that's pretty neat. So then you're just playing that jamboree and stuff.
Yeah, I just play over. And sometimes there's like at a far house or somebody.
Yeah.
People gather up.
And you're just playing. You're still playing this Gibson.
Yeah.
And you said that's probably the best guitar.
Oh yeah.
That's your favorite. Yeah.
Oh yeah, by far.
And so, all right, yeah. So that's pretty much your career in music. And then
They kept telling me I ought to go, that there was money to be made in going to libraries and introducing cowboy music.
Yeah.
And so several guys told me I ought to be doing that, and I thought I would because it wouldn't have to go very far.
yeah.
And so I bought a little acoustic guitar amp
Yeah.
that had a mic with it. I mean, you could plug a mic. So I got set up so I could go do that. Or anywhere I wanted to go, I could play that.
Yeah.
But I never pursued it very far. I was losing interest, you know.
Sure.
You have to go fishing sometimes, you know. So you can't
Yeah.
play music all the time.
So let's talk about some of the songs you wrote. You didn't write a lot.
No, I think I only wrote about 3 or 4.
Yeah, I've got 2 here that I know of. And just wanted to talk. There's no place in Texas for a cowboy to ride.
Right.
What's that one about?
Well, when I was 61, I was out there when I was in the Air Force, and it was just big open country and hardly any fences.
Yeah.
Oil wells wasn't all over the place, you know. And then we was going out to Arizona, Tucson, to do that convention. And when I went across through there was fences and there was oil wells everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, what happened? Ain't no place a cowboy could ride out here no more, you know. That's just said that. You know?
Yeah.
And then it kind of queued up a theme for a song, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what it was about.
And is that more? It's like a poetry kind of
Well,
to music. It sort of turned into that.
It was a song and there's music for it, and that's what was done first. But when we made that last album, cowboy poetry was getting pretty big, and so we thought we ought to have a poem, you know. So we did it as a poem.
Sure.
And we got some sound effects and stuff. It's really good in that.
And Clint's just playing the guitar, and you're
He's playing, and I played a little bit of Red River Valley. And
yeah.
we had crickets and whippoorwills in it. It's pretty good. Good.
Where'd you get the sound effects? You just.
Vernon did the crickets. Vernon Reisner. And I think I did the whippoorwill.
Yeah.
And that's. And then. And then on Ghost Riders, we had horses running in it, you know.
Yeah. Now you talk about the Air Force, remind me of that story. Is that the guitar you got on the base?
Oh, no, that's a whole nother story. When I joined the Air Force, I got to, in a flight, in a barracks, and it had 60 guys in it.
Yeah.
60 guys in a flight, 60 guys in this big, long barracks. And there was, nobody played any music. I was the only one who could play anything. And I wasn't real good.
Sure.
I was a 3-chord guy. but and there were 7 Hawaiians in that flight, and they could sing, and play ukuleles. But so as we moved in after we was there a week or so, there's this flight moving out of the next barrack star, and a guy had a guitar that he couldn't take with him, and
yeah.
he wanted to sell it to somebody in our flight because we was going to be there for a while. And so I was the one that could play it, so the whole flight went together, and I think it was 18 cents a piece. So I don't know. They went together and bought that guitar for me to.
Yeah.
So and we had a band, and you could go down to after a week or so, you could go down to they called it the patios, and it had a whole bunch of vending machines, you know. And
Yeah.
had a top over, you know, you got tables and sit there. So we go down there and play, and then we did Hawaiian music mostly, because those Hawaiian boys singing. So I was playing for them, and they would do a hula dance. This one guy, they'd take their T-shirts and put around him, you know, and he would do, and
everyone loves it. Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun playing.
Do you know what kind of guitar that was?
It was really cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
and you just left it there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because see, when I was going to Shepherd Air Force Base, I just left it with I don't know who got after that, but pretty good fun.
And then the only other song I know that you wrote is Trust Jesus Now.
Yeah.
So when did you write that one?
I wrote that when Cindy was about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
At that time.
So this is before Singing Cowboys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But I just I got tired of so many gospel songs, going to heaven, you know, that kind of stuff, and no real gospel in them, you know, and
a more positive, like everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah,
and you don't think that's
so I got that idea, trust Jesus now, and because you know, you might die tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
And not get another chance. And so I came up with that song. That one verse in there with Jeff Smith was the inspiration for that, because he had been, I'm sure he was saved.
Which verse? What verse?
The one where it says, there is a power from hell and Satan that strives to keep you in defeat.
Yeah.
And so we would have practices, and he would say, you know, this Sunday I'm going to go to the altar and make a public profession to be baptized. And it would come that Sunday, and he wouldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And that went on for 2-3 weeks, you know. And I was standing behind him in the pews down there. Well, I was sitting right down there by where the piano was, right in the area there. And he was standing in front of me, and they was doing the altar call. He said for sure this Sunday he would do that. So I was watching him, and he was holding the seat, you know, and he was just like that, really holding up, you know, and just, you could tell he was just real torn at that time. And so I thought, you know, there's a power, there's something holding him. And that gave me the idea for there is a power from hell and Satan that strives to keep you in defeat. And so it wound up a lot better song than I thought I could have wrote.
Yeah.
You know, and then when Jason and them recorded it, sang it, they really put the polish on it, you know, they really did it up good.
That's the only recording I've ever found of that one.
That's probably the only
I don't have any that you ever sung.
No.
But
I would sing it around with the kids, you know. We sang that. I wrote another one that was Meeting in the Sky.
Yeah.
It's like, have you made your reservation for the meeting in the sky?
Yeah.
Have you told your friends and loved ones how saved, bled, and died? Did you coin the resurrection to each stranger passing by? Well, I see them on that morning at the meeting in the sky. There's a meeting in the sky. It goes on.
Yeah.
And that's the only 3 I wrote.
Yeah. No, I not heard that one.
Yeah.
Nowhere, but yeah, and that Trust Jesus Now, I mean, that's a special song. I think that's important.
Yeah, it really is, and it took me this long to realize it was, you know. I just kind of forgot about it till
Sure.
they sang it. That was on Father's Day.
Yeah,
they
Father's
sang
Day.
it.
So, and that's like your walk with God. What's the role that like music has in that? Has it been? What do you view God made music for? Like,
I think it was. Well, I think I was just born with that want to play music, love music, but it kept me. Gospel music was a valuable thing, but it kept me from out of country music and stuff. I never really liked country music.
yeah,
I liked the sound of it, but I never liked the words. I just hated because it was all negative,
sure,
bad stuff, you know. And even Conway Twitty said he thought his music contributed to the delinquency of America.
yeah. So I've heard that.
And I'm sure he did, but it was that, and God just used it, kind of directing me all around, you know.
Yeah,
The Singing Cowboys came about trying to keep Clint and Jason out of other kinds of music.
yeah,
And then I think it prepared them for being team leaders.
yeah.
You
All
know.
Ken and I band and all the
I think
work
they
did.
learned how to, you know, lead music and
Yeah,
be in front of an audience, and I think it was probably good training that they might not even got if they'd went to schools for
sure, maybe.
how to be a worship leader or something, you know. So I think it played a part there.
In that
a lot.
ministry, yeah.
Yeah. But now, hardly any music sounds good to me.
Really?
I mean, anything that's, you spin the dial on the radio, I don't hear anything I like.
Yeah.
And the hymns are probably the most precious songs to me.
Yeah.
And of course you never hear them, but I mean, well, I do. They're on YouTube. You can
Yeah.
find them that way, but yeah, that's
Good. Well, listen, I appreciate you doing this with me, sitting down telling stories. So I mean, it's important to me. It's like,
yeah.
music's important to my life, and you know, this is all the stuff you guys did is sort of the platform of me in my life, raising me, and so.
Well, it's an influence on the whole family. I mean, that's
Yeah.
You know, we stayed pretty true. We never really sung garbage songs of any kind.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's.
And so, just
And then, you know, Clint and Jason went on to write a tremendous amount of songs.
yeah,
And that would have never happened if they hadn't
yeah,
grew up in this, most likely, you know. Because they learned a lot about music, really about writing songs and how music worked from Doug Dalton. You
Yeah.
know, which they could apply when they wrote a song. But yeah, it's been a big part of my life.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm thankful for you. Thankful that you're, that you did all this and taught me much, and you know, raised Dad. Dad raised me. So.
A lot of people would said, you know, they talk about how good we was and everything. I'd always say, I'm just riding on the boys' shirt tail. It's not me. They're the ones that, you know, that plays music. You know, us. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
I wasn't near as good as they wasn't because I got to where I couldn't hear and sing on pitch and then
Singing time.
you know, get hearing aids and do this and that.
But
I got by.
yeah, just singing songs around the campfire with you and all that, and it's just you're playing for me when I was a kid. It's just important to me. So I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, well, what you did, so kids down the road can see what their lineage is.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's a unique. Like you're the origin of our family's music. Origin of our family's a lot of stuff. So I appreciate that. But All right. Let's wrap it up then.
Okay, you gonna do this?
All right. Yeah. Let's just go over some of these items we got here. This is a classic picture. Where'd y'all get them horses?
Okay, that belonged to Dave Skipworth. Had a ranch out in Colorado Springs, and he trained horses. One of the things, and two of these, this horse and this horse and this one,
Yeah.
are Mustangs that he caught in the wilds and trained. And this is an Arabian that Jason's riding. But anyway, he took us on a trail ride on his ranch one time, and took us up to this place, and took our picture. That's in Colorado Springs, and that's top of the Rocky Mountains,
Yeah.
wherever it was. And he stood up on his horse and took his picture. He's standing up in his hat. He was quite a cowboy, and but that's what the story behind that.
Yeah.
And so we parked our bus out at his ranch, while we was doing the shows. We stayed out at his ranch,
Sure.
and camped in the bus. So that was quite nice of him.
And then these, there's the bus. I don't know if this will take. There's them on the bus. And then
Yeah, that's yeah, that's what that is.
that's
And that was that was after I got my good hat. That's a Stetson there.
the good hat, huh?
Yeah, that was a Stetson.
What makes a good hat?
Made out of beaver hair or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's a Stetson, which is a better brand.
Yeah.
I got another white one like that.
And then these are the money makers right here. Right. Let me just show. Where'd you made these, right? These
Yeah.
little set holders.
I had the idea that we could make these and put them in truck stops and
Sure.
Western stores and things, and sell tapes out of them, and we give the owner so much for letting us set there for tape. And we sold some tape mostly around the truck stops, but
Yeah.
it didn't pan out where it was,
Yeah.
was worth the time you spent the gas going around collecting for the. And then some of the guys wouldn't pay you when they say, "Oh, somebody stole them," but,
Sure. Yeah.
And so, and then this, we had these was buttons we had that we sold.
Yeah.
Was
Sure. It's a picture of them all there. And then this is a good one here. Caricature.
Yeah, that's by Boots, somebody who is a famous
A successful
right,
caricature
yeah.
guy.
And he made them of all the people that was on that show
Yeah.
out there. And that was the only place we ever had a dressing room. But we never went to it. I mean, what did we need a dressing room for?
Yeah.
And so we was out comshawing with all the other entertainers and stuff. Never went to our what did I say it was?
I didn't
Dressing
know.
room.
Yeah.
And when the show was over, they had made all these up for and left them in the dressing room for us as a surprise,
Yeah.
So we're going home. We don't even know nothing about it. And somebody had went to the dressing room and seen it, but we hadn't got it. Hadn't been back there, so they told us that you need to go to the dressing room. There's a present for you in there. So we went and got it. But that guy's name was Boots something. I don't know what
something.
it is now, but he's a well-known artist.
And then we got what's the story on Outlaw here?
Well, I got in trouble one time when we was out there
Yeah.
in Dodge City.
Yeah, you hold that.
And got a price on my head, but I was able to get a crooked lawyer got out of it.
Oh, really? 1 million.
But Actually, that was just at a fair or something. They would make this kind of stuff up
Yeah.
for you, and I thought that'd be funny if I got some bullet holes in it.
Yeah.
And stuff.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well, then just some other good pictures of you and a hat.
That's the first promotional picture that we had.
Which
that,
one?
That one. Bad.
This one?
Yeah, that's the first one. And that was taken.
Yeah, I'll show the first promotion.
That was up in Dad's field, and that was an old wagon I had at the time.
Yeah.
With running gears, and that's that guitar there.
Yeah.
There.
The Yamaha.
And yeah, that was. We all got boots on and everything. Yeah, it looked like a real. We was good looking cowboy.
Looking
band.
cowboys.
Then this was the last one we had done professionally. This guy did this one, and we got thousands of them.
Yeah.
We were singing at Renfro Valley, and we first got promo pictures, and they weren't that big, the ones that we gave away or sold.
Yeah.
And so that was our first time at Renfro Valley, and we thought, well, we'll just give everybody a free picture, try to promote, you know,
Sure.
and we'll sign it for them. That was a bad mistake because we signed and signed and signed. Everybody got a free picture and didn't buy. Well, we did sell a lot. We sold a lot of tapes at Renfro Valley, but we signed and we signed and we signed, and I just write thanks for being our friend.
Yeah.
You know, Dave, and so we learned not to give away pictures free if we could. So when we started selling them for $1, or I think it was $1.
Yeah.
And we didn't sell as many as we give away, but we'd sell a lot of pictures. And
Here's an old business card. Singing cowboys.
yeah, there was a hat. We had this hat, and we had a blue one
Yeah.
like that we sold. And I drawed that logo. That's all my artwork.
Oh, you drew that?
Yeah. And, so that's pretty much that stuff.
Yeah, we got hundreds of stuff laying around.
Yeah, Clint's got a lot of that stuff packed up somewhere. He's got my chaps might be in the basement. I got chaps.
Yeah. I think he has got those. Yeah.
He's got them.
Yeah. Or they might be his chaps. I don't know.
No, he didn't have any. I was the one that had chaps.
Oh yeah.
But and I had yeah, that was pretty good fun. Notice my beard was. See, my beard was red.
Yeah.
On the sides, it was red, and some black, and then that white.
I guess they're still with us, they haven't all died. But there's no place in Texas the cowboy can ride.
So we'll.
Well, where's that the last?
Yeah, I couldn't see. Yeah, this was the last hat that I got. It's a Stetson.
Yeah.
And Roy Rogers, he taught me how to make that crown like that.
Yeah.
And that's what he wore in his hat all the time. And he showed me how to do that.
How do you do that?
You get it wet in the shower and then just pinch it the way you get what you want. You know. But that was a nice hat there too. This one, that one's been around though. That's seen all the miles that we went. You know. But it was a fun time. It's probably shaped a whole lot of character and everything that the family ended up with. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So what's the next question?
that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, whoever watches this, this really did happen. And but I guess the most important thing is that, you know, through it all, I was always aware that God was in charge of the things that, and I kept the faith even when I was riding motorcycles, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that event, but I just want to say I've, lived 85 years now, and I found the Bible to be the Word of God, and it's true, and you can trust it. It proves itself. It's definitely the most precious book you can have, and to read it and understand it, and I just, you just trust in God that He'll forgive you and make Him, make Jesus Lord of your life. I'm not a real good preacher, but I know it's true.
Yeah.
And I hold on to that, and I pray every day for my children and my grandchildren that God will protect them from the evil one, and hold on to us and keep us in His will as we will let Him. And yes, that's the essence of everything my life is about. It's just there was never a time I doubted God or believed there was no God. It was just obvious to me, and from when I was saved when I was 11 years old in a revival, and I'll never forget that, because there was a missionary, evangelist there, and he was teaching about Revelations, last days and stuff. Scared me to death. He got my attention. And, I'm 11 years old, I'm a boy sitting there, and I wasn't sitting with my mom and dad. I was sitting in another place with another kid or two there with me. And they give an invitation, and I just feel this pulling to go up and make a profession of my faith.
Yeah.
I didn't really know much about what was going on. But I felt that urge, that pulling, and I went, well, the next verse I'm going to go. The next verse, just like Jeff was doing.
Sure.
And next night, the same thing. And I waited and waited, and I didn't go. And that next day, I was just consumed with that pull, and I couldn't wait for that service that night to where I could go. And so I didn't wait for the second verse. When the first verse, I was out there, and got it done. And but that's, the Spirit was just drawing me at that age.
Yeah.
I know it was 11 because I got a Bible, and it's got the date on it when it was given to me. They gave it to me when I got baptized.
Yeah.
So I remember being baptized, and it come up out of the water. And it's like you was light as a feather.
Yeah.
But I got out of God's will quite a few times and did a lot of dumb stuff, but
As we all do.
by His holding power,
Yeah.
and people praying for me.
Sure.
I'm probably the only kid around my age that never smoked or drank. I never took it. And I grew up with a bunch of people. That's all they did.
Yeah.
But God kept me from all of that, and it gave me interest in racing cars and things like that, which kept me out of a lot of other meanness.
Yeah.
But yeah, God's had His hand on my life, and has it on my family, and I'm just thankful that I had parents that led me in that direction. And,
Feel the same. Well done, Grandpa. Thanks. All right. You want to give me a hug?
yeah.
All right. Love you. And I will not. All right. Start us off there, Dave.
Well, this is probably my all-time cowboy song,
Yeah.
and it's got some pretty meaningful stuff in it. So I like it. So.
Yeah.
The red man was pressed from this part of the West. It is unlikely he'll ever return to the banks of Red River, where seldom, if ever, their flickering campfires to burn. There's
when the heavens are bright by the light of glittering stars. Have I stood there amazed, and I ask as I gaze if their glory exceeds that of ours. Oh, give me a land where bright shining sands goes leads me down the stream, where the graceful white swan goes gliding along like a maid in her heavenly dream. Oh, I would not exchange my home on the range for all of your cities so bright. There you go.
Let's get another one.
Okay.
All right, now let's see.
And then the D.
Now hit them individually.
The one's not.
Yeah, you got to remember this now. You don't want to slough over a chord. When you learn how to make it, be sure you hear all the strings.